Buddy, it's Zoey Kirby here. I am trans, cripple, and caffeinated, and that is a run-on sentence. And I live somewhere in Kansas, somewhere in nowhere, Kansas, like herds of Carly dogs. So I want to do a quick coverage of a story that many people may not see. But Kansas was doing their government efficiency. I think they called it a committee, so it's called COGE. And they had a government efficiency forum, which was overwhelmed by submissions and then subsequently shut down. So I kind of want to read through this article, and then there's a person who is a Republican who I appreciate for some things and dislike for others. So let's go ahead and get into this article very quickly. The Kansas Senate's new Committee on Government Efficiency, COGE. Guess we missed the memo on that one. I guess we missed the memo on what that's supposed to spell. I'm perfectly fine with it. I don't want it to spell Dogecoin. I call it douchecoin. On Thursday, this legislator set up COGE, beautiful, to look at state government processes and find ways to reduce spending. Okay. Kansans share their ideas for a more efficient government through an online forum. The forum opened on January 31st, and there were 600 responses were received in a week, but overnight people got wind of the forum, and so many people tried to give their input that it shut the website down. Let's end the quote there. So basically it came out on the 31st, and it was all groovy, but then people found out about the forum and absolutely flooded it with input. But if you want to be able to run run quote unquote government efficiency and to reduce spending, but the forum that you have can't even survive traffic. Now the traffic might have been insane, but we're really off to a bad start here if you can't handle traffic, yet you want efficiency. Now the article is going to go on to quote a Republican senator who I'm not super familiar with named Michael Murphy. So I'm just going to go ahead and read the article here. On Thursday, Republican Senator Michael Murphy, Vice Chair of COGE, beautiful, reassured Kansans. He said he wouldn't make big changes to the government immediately. Murphy said that they would use audits to suggest money-saving ideas to the legislature. So, and then let me finish this here real quick. Murphy stated that President Trump's plan to cut programs and staff will not happen in Kansas. So, I'm going to give this Republican some props on not bowing to the Trump line and not allowing for there to be programs and staff cuts in Kansas. That's really important. That's another story I'm going to be going over is, I think it's USAID's going to be cutting lots of staff, so I'm going to be covering that story as well because it's really important. But props to Murphy here for not kowtowing to the Trumpian line. And let's read the rest of this article here because I have a disagreement with Murphy as well. All we're going to be able to do in most cases is have a recommendation, Murphy said. I'm not quite sure what that means necessarily. We're not in a situation where we can bang the gavel and say this is done, pack your bags, and go home. So I think, end quote. So I think what he's saying here is that it's not as simple as we can just kick everybody out and leave. This isn't a thing that we can just do. And again, so that's the thing I want to give him props for. I'm going to finish the article in the last sentence, and I'm going to explain my issues with Murphy after this. Murphy said his main goal is to cut taxes and to get the state ready for a possible budget shortfall in the coming years. End quote of at least the article. So my issue here is that Murphy is talking about the goal being to cut taxes. Which taxes exactly do they want to cut? I know this is a thing that in the legislature at one point they were wanting to cut taxes on property like boats and other weird things that didn't make sense to me. I'd have to double check that. But wanting to cut taxes being the main goal is quite strange. And if he's preparing the state for a possible budget shortfall, where do you think that shortfall is coming from? The instant you start cutting taxes, now we can have an argument about what those taxes should pay for, and I'm here for that argument. But of course there's going to be a budget shortfall if your goal is to cut taxes. And if you're not instituting more taxes or another way to make up for that revenue to be able to properly budget, of course there's going to be shortfalls. Here's what I disagree with Murphy on. You cannot start cutting taxes willy-nilly and not have something else in the budget to be able to withstand that lack of revenue. Now, this is typical Republican fare, which, it's just, I don't understand. Like Sam Brownback cut taxes here, and we were in a deficit for a very long time because of it. And in some ways, we're probably still recovering from that sort of thing. Businesses were leaving at that time. So this goal to cut taxes is fine, but what are we cutting taxes for? Who are they going to affect? I don't know that many working people that own a boat. Going back to that, if there isn't a plan to balance the budget in the sense of there has to be revenue making up for what's being lost, then they're creating a government shortfall. Quite frankly. So that was, again, the main point of the article here is on COGE, which is the Kansas Commission on the Government Efficiency. Props on Mr. Murphy here, on State Senator, Republican Senator Michael Murphy, for not just going along with all of the different cuts and different things that Trump wants to do. However, big thumbs down on, we're going to focus on cutting taxes and there's going to be a potential budget shortfall, which is what happens when you cut taxes with nothing meaningful to replace it. So that's the article, is that the Government Efficiency Forum was overwhelmed, which doesn't really bode well for whatever, quote, governing, end quote, that is that they want to do here. So that's the story, and I hope the story finds you well. And stay beautiful, everyone, and I will see you in the next story.